Hello and welcome to another What's Inside. This time we're looking at home game fantasy football. This is an officially licensed fantasy football board game from around 1994. It's for 2 to 14 players, ages 12 to adult. So as you can see, it's got the logos and stuff on here, but it's really not that complicated of a game. There's not a lot to it. This is item number 1140. And it was put out by TDC Games. Sorry about the glare, not much I can do about that, unfortunately. You could draft people, you hold a simple draft, that sort of thing. There's different ways you can play this. Now inside we have 100 team score sheets, 50 draft selection sheets, 16 draft cards, 3 years of football stats, 2 bookmarks, 1 game board, 1 game playbook, 1 set of league forms, and a pencil. So let's open this up and see what it looks like. This copy's been in storage for a while, it looks like, so here's our draft cards. They are all still connected, bookmarks at the end there. As you can see, they just say draft pick on them. And then there's a home game fantasy points scoring sheet up in the corner. And these are the bookmarks at the base. And it's just numbered 1 through 15. And then there's the bookmarks. So not much to it. These are pretty thin. They're going to get torn up pretty quickly, so you might want to find a different way of scoring. Here's the team score sheets. Pretty standard stuff. They're two-sided, same thing on both sides. Then here's our rule book, or playbook they call it. And inside is a mail-away sheet, so you can subscribe to Stat-O-Matic, which would give you updated stats by fax or mail. This was 1994. And it just folds up and no postage necessary. Then we've got our game rules in here. So there's a simplified scoring method, and then it also has rules for how to do a fantasy football league. So you've got everything you need to know about trades and stuff like that, all conveniently located. Scoring, quarterbacks 1 point for every 20 yards, rushers 1 point for every 10 yards rushing, receivers 1 point for every 10 yards receiving, kickers, total points scored kicking, team score, total points scored by a team, team defense minus total points allowed. Then you've got seasonal league play, with the short rules being nice and big and bold and easy to read. And then we get into like the 1991 season totals with season recaps and different rosters for the teams. And then there's different games that were played with all the scores for 1991 all the way up through, there's game 16. And 1992, same deal. The rosters with the positions and everything like that. And that goes through 1993. And then on the back here, we've got a weekly league results sheet. I don't think there's any other copies of this, so that might actually be worth looking at closer. So it's basically just team name, position, NFL team, points, stuff like that. And then there's an example of schedules for league play, and then another ad for Stat-O-Matic. On the back here is a fax update list. This is what you'd get faxed to you. Pretty straightforward. They really want you to subscribe to the Stat-O-Matic thing. And that's, I think, the key goal of the sales. But you can kind of create your own league. Like, there's the draft selections sheet. These are two-sided. And it's just got all the teams. And it's got quarterback, rushers, receivers, kickers, team score, and team defense. And it's just got a list of 30 teams. I don't know if these teams are still around or not. I'm not a football person. But it looks pretty straightforward. Then we've got a pencil with 3 little pegs, and the pegs go into this piece here. Now it's got the game number and a spinner. Unfortunately, this has sunken in, which is normal for these kind of inserts. We've seen them in dozens of games over time, and the same thing happens with the spinners. Because they're usually centered, they start to sink in. So you'd probably want to pop this back up, put it something underneath it to push it up, like a book or something. But this is actually the only other piece of the game. There's not a lot to this. This is just the insert in the box. There's nothing underneath. It's not particularly special. But it's got these 2 spinners. And this one says stats, and this one says game. And then you've got yardage, which doesn't really do anything as decoration. But you've got peg holes for quarterbacks, receivers, pushers, team defense, kickers, and team score. And you've got these 2 spinners. It does mention season of play, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96. Conservative play, moderate play, radical play, and then you've got different wheels within based on which one you chose. So get a closer look at that if we can. So that's really all there is to this game. There's not a lot here. It's mostly just paper. But if you're playing fantasy football, something like this might be fun for beginners. I don't know if people that play a lot of fantasy football are going to get much out of this. But it might be handy to have the sheets. I don't know. But that is what you can expect to find inside of Home Game Fantasy Football from TDC Games. It is an officially licensed product. And it will allow you to play fantasy football. So if you're looking to get into that, maybe this will be something you see at a garage sale that might be useful to you. I think it looks a little bit more interesting than it actually is based on the box. It's pretty smart marketing to put all the team logos on when you don't really see any of that stuff. But this is from 1994, so fantasy football was a slightly more difficult thing without computerization. So yeah, it's an interesting throwback. But yeah, TDC Games, product number 1140. We've seen what's in the box. I think it's okay. It's probably vastly outdated unless you want to get really analog with your game setup. And I think it'd be okay for that. But you've heard my take on it. I think if you find it at a garage sale, it's probably worth grabbing if you just want the padded papers and that sort of thing. Interesting nostalgia piece. So that's going to wrap up this episode. Thank you so much for listening and supporting the channel. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss future unboxings and reviews. If you'd like to help the channel out in other ways, you can share the video around or buy yourself something nice from the Teespring store. If you'd like to support me monthly on Patreon, it's only $1 a month. And there are exclusive videos up there for this channel and for Bad Comic Reviews. Or you could send a one-time payment through PayPal via Streamlabs. All those links are in the description. And as always, none of that's necessary. Just share the video around if you can. But thank you so much for watching, and hopefully we will see you on the next one.